Nathan still continues to be the easiest way to just get information centralized somewhere and shot out to somebody else. And for us, that's extremely important because half our servers are really distributed. It's been super efficient for us to communicate across the internet.
Alright, guys. Hello, hello. I got a talk real quick. I'm having a talk. Where? Are we not? What do you want to get? Oh my god, dude. That's like saying. What? Oh. It put me all the way down? Where is he? Oh my god. My cube will be open. Crack one. I'm here. I think I passed them. Bank up. They're resting. Yeah, I only have 2 syringes. Where are we going? She's literally one shot. She's literally one. I got her. 1v1. That's a creeper. That's a creeper. That's my favorite. Not bad. I'll give you a hug if you let me have. What? That's a good bargain! What do you mean? I love and affection. I'm gonna see if I can just go with my hug at. Oh, no, I'm not gonna shower for like a week. I didn't really want to off. Oh my god, you the charge rifler. That's the best charge rifler I've ever seen in my life. 145 on the pad. You got that? No. The blood in this one. Nice. The other team just take my crate. Oh. I think it was two warm-up shots, you know. Warm-up. We're waiting. One peek out. Actual worship. How much? What did you do with them? Did you work out in them? Did you game all day in them? Like, the question you ask. Or for a week straight. Damn. You're gonna spell out the packaging. You got skid marks on them? Or like what? Perfectly like half-life. Definitely finding them. Yep. What do they want? Let them.
Is Charleston not signed? Question mark? It's not signed. Why?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming in, buddy. You need to grow because you are my future goalie.
Keep him in there,
So.
Oh my gosh. Use team right here. I'm grabbing knees, I'm grabbing knees. I'm burning too. I'm trying to pop a bat here. Sitting in an ult. Yes. He's one. You're for the strike. I got him. I'm already blocking. Here, hold it down. Oh my god. We're so much better. Nice. If you're not already in the Discord though, then enjoy the best way to get a put them live, and when you can get them out, you can also follow me on
Welcome back. Alright. This is the day video for this Tuesday. I thought about doing one last night and I realized, there's just the one game. I might as well enjoy it. It was early evening with my wife and just relax a bit. And then Tuesday, so 8 games, 2 to go. Starting off with a getting Malkin. Surprisingly, a punishment that I think is a decent punishment. 4 games for Malkin. And I think the biggest issue I have sometimes with the NHL Department of Player Safety is usually with the really scary injuries. So Malkin gets 4 games. This is going to impact Pittsburgh. They're in a fight for third place. Washington's got better and got closer. And so, yeah, this could absolutely influence where they end up in the playoffs, which they probably don't know. The one thing, though, is for Pittsburgh, they can clinch the regulation victory. If they win the game against the other situation, they clinch and they help other teams out with the regulation win. So, other fans are going to be here for Pittsburgh. Depending on whether you think clinching this far out is really, really important. Rough news again from Montreal, but this is just how it works. Both Jake Allen and Justin Barron are out of the season. So for Barron, it's too bad because this deactivation by Montreal is good. It's useful for them out of the present. So starting at third, Jake Allen was having a good little run there, and then he gets hurt. So this is how it works. The good news is Montreal was used last night. He's not the reason they lost against Winnipeg. And at least Carey Price seems to be aggressive and aggressive.
We'll find out. But one player we will not see is Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty, LA Kings out for the rest of the season. He's had wrist surgery. They're saying that he should be healthy and good to go for next year. So that's rough news for LA. LA, of course, right now is clinging to that number 3 spot in the Pacific. Losing Doughty is a huge blow for that team. I know he may not be as great as he was, say, a decade ago, but Doughty's still a pretty effective defender. His advanced stats are still solid. He is a contributor in various ways for the LA Kings, and they really do miss him out there. And so we'll see whether or not they can cling to a playoff spot without him. It is interesting, too, and I'll agree with a comment I saw yesterday on the channel, which was that if LA did fall out, it would be interesting because before the season started, the expectation was that all 3 California teams would miss the playoffs. At one point this year, it looked like all 3 of them could make it. And then if LA did fall out, that would mean all 3 of them didn't make it after all. So we'll see. But with the way Vegas has been charging, it looks like they could get Mark Stone back tonight. They haven't confirmed it that I've seen, but all signs seem to point to Stone playing for Vegas tonight. If Vegas ends up getting a playoff spot ahead of LA, that'll be quite the collapse for LA. And again, Doughty being out is going to be part of that. For Boston, you are short-handed. No Hampus Lindholm tonight, no Pasternak tonight, no Grizzlick tonight. Rough overall ride for them right now, but they can clinch a playoff spot with any kind of a victory over the Blues. It doesn't matter if it's regulation, overtime, shootout, if they get a win. And the Penguins get any kind of a win over the Islanders. It does not have to be a regulation win. Or they clinch if they get a point against the St. Louis Blues. So if they lose an overtime or a shootout, and the Penguins get a regulation win over the Islanders. So Boston's pretty close to clinching. Tampa Bay also could clinch today. They clinch to a win over the Stars, or if they get a point, combined with a Penguins win.
Man, this is the season started, I guess. I did everything. I signed Jasper Wellston. He'll be playing AHL. Maybe for the first 2 seasons, like 3. He can grow.
So, interesting to see what happens there. And in Boston, Corey Kurtz turning tonight for the St. Louis Blues. So that's a big addition for St. Louis, who of course has been on the 5-game winning streak. We'll see how that affects their lineup and whether or not they can keep it going and make it fix. With the way that the Boston's coming with the sort of lineup. Well, we'll see, right? St. Louis, of course, is dealt with playing with a less than healthy lineup quite a lot this year. You're not going to hear a lot of merciful calls from them along the line with, hey, they're hurt. They've gone through this too. So we'll see how that one goes tonight. The Crew against Boston. My guess is he gets a goal. That's my guess. We'll throw that in there. Jonathan Dolan got off quite the start since San Jose Sharks. He was playing quite well. It's been more of a struggle for him since that really good start. So rumors were starting to come out about Dolan considering some kind of a jump back over to Sweden at the end of the season. His agent has come out and said that his client is not considering that. With Dolan, this may follow a little bit early in his career because, of course, with Vancouver, he ended up going with Sweden. He wasn't happy with the opportunity. Not forgiving him. He got traded to San Jose, didn't hold the right for a while, but for Dolan, I think it's been a somewhat successful rookie season. It's his first year, and not every player can just like on fire and be eventually get goals and make everybody wow, what a phenomenon this day. So Dolan, not really of that phenomenon type, but still pretty big young forward. I was kind of surprised that he didn't really get around. Dallas, well, if Dallas is the name of the club, Anaheim. Dallas Aiken is reportedly close to getting a contract extension in Anaheim back. So we're talking about coaches and who might be on their way out. Apparently Dallas Aiken not in any kind of danger. What works in his favor is the Anaheim Ducks were expecting a playoff this year. The general manager there is going to be part of the big deadline when they were staying competitive for the most part of the season. So Aiken will get, at least another opportunity to show what he can do. I would think there'll be more pressure on him next year. I would think that next year, Pat will be too low to potentially longer to get a playoff spot. conversation can start using it on homework to get off to the school. We'll see what happens, but currently they're happy with the coaching situation right now in Anaheim. Ducks fans can let me know in the comment section below where you want to stick around, all that fun stuff. Canucks, tonight of course, they were trying to stay in the playoff hunt. They win over Vegas. They also need LA to lose and Dallas to lose. They need some help in one thing. But another thing for the Canucks tonight is the Canucks are getting telephone. So that is great. There's to that moment. Personally, it is a name for myself because I would find if I can back myself. They're saying it's a one of a kind, and all I can think about is, yeah, but everybody has given them an entire decade. So it's not exactly one of a kind. It's one they may not sell before that. Not exactly one of a kind. But anyway, so that's for kids, telethon, raising money for the various children security, and that's a good thing. So look for that to be discussed during the night meeting. I don't know what else they might put on. One of those things that is probably low and not. But yeah, it's a good cause. Kids raise a ton of money every year. I know they do the 50-50 draw. That's where the other 50% goes. It's an extra kid. So I have no problem with buying 50-50 either. Which, if you're in British Columbia, you can do from home. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.
Definitely make sure that we have filed our taxes before the deadline, due in large part to the Canada Child Benefit. If it were to stop, then our mortgage activities would also have to be postponed.
We pay taxes on time to continue getting the benefits and credits you may qualify for.
Welcome to what I'm going to be calling the 10th episode of Why I Want season number 5, I believe that's what it is, right? 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, season 5 of Why I Want here on the Red Rocks 99 YouTube channel. The series where we take a look at prospects at the upcoming NHL entry draft. We go over their profiles, we talk about their seasons, we talk about where they project, and we talk about my own opinions about them. Today's episode is going over a very, very fun name. This is a name that I've had on my radar since 2020, pretty much. And he's a guy that I think a lot of people might be reading the title, might be reading the description and saying, okay, Leko, come on, you're stretching this one a little bit. How can this guy be as good as the player you're highlighting in the title? And to that I'll say, ceiling is not necessarily the same as style and similarities. There are things that I think we can talk about when it comes to comparing this player with the other player, but let's go over just who this player is in the first place before we dive deep into why I believe he is a discount right-handed Quinn Hughes. Today's Why I Want episode is going over Seamus Casey. He's a right-handed defenseman eligible for the 2022 draft, born January 8, 2004, making him 18 years old. He's 5'10", 161, as we said, a right-handed defenseman, born out of Miami, Florida. He's playing this season for the U.S. National Team Development Program, where he's getting about 16 minutes of ice time per game, which is sort of the norm because the NTDP likes to diversify their playing between all the players equally. Before this, though, he had spent some time in the CompuWare system in Florida, as well as the Florida Alliance team. This is where I really started to have Casey on my radar. It's this season in 2019-20 where he was at 2 points a game. He was almost at a goal a game, too, playing in the AAA scene. And the reason he stood out to me was because a lot of his earlier tape when he was younger saw him absolutely break ankles constantly with his deceptive mobility and his lateral agility with the puck. He was very willing to embarrass opponents by faking his intentions with body language, pump fakes, and spinning pivots. He had great puck skills and tight, he could dangle around goalies when he got close, and he could make simple yet impressive quick movements to maneuver around the ice. Even nowadays, his ability to spin around through blood pressure has helped him throughout his NTDP season, although the numbers won't really show that off. As a right-handed defenseman for the NTDP this year, he has himself 26 points in 40 games played. Now, you might look at the number and say, okay, that's not really that great of a number, and I can understand where you're coming from. It's just, when you take a look at how Seamus Casey plays the game, there's a reason why I'm highlighting him in the way that I am. This is what the fantasy summary says for Seamus Casey on Dapper Prospects. He's an extremely mobile two-way defender who excels as a distributor. He needs to add size and strength to his frame, but he has all the tools required to be a modern-day, puck-moving defenseman at the NHL level. His December 21 report says that he was a stud for the U17 team last year, finishing as their highest-scoring D-man with 36 points in 46 games. He has been equally as productive for the U18 squad so far this year, and has done so without a prominent role in the power play, taking a backseat to Lane Hudson. His skating and puck handling skills have been game-changers with the NTDP so far, and he has shown all the makings of an elite offensive blue liner. Casey has not really had the best deployment this season, but when he does get those opportunities, you can definitely see that he's cut from the same cloth that a Quinn Hughes is. He can be absolute dynamite when walking the line of the power play, and he can be deferred to that Quinn Hughes-like role where he's the receiver of every second pass, opening up defenses with his lateral mobility, and
savers, save on business locking in low prices on hundreds of everyday items. Like what? Arg! Drink up me heartaches, yo ho! Arg! Spec! I'm here to plumber, to steal your fun. No fun for you. Oh yeah? What? Arg! I actually pirated this guy. I don't need a health bar. A health bar. This panic dog attack. Got to be the best pirate I've ever seen. By the way, I turned my puppies into t-shirts. Well, not like, you know what I mean. Link in the description. You fear dead. He does quick answer. Victory! Arrgh! Who wants some treasure? Bitcoin executes the else to be Good shit. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. The wonders of crossplay, the three nations living together in harmony. Dom or breach. The breach defense are actually good.
Yeah, just take like
Oh my god!
yeah, like
Oh, Xbox versus PC. We have a race war.
oh my.
I got the other one in? I think so. I got it all. I got you, brother. Get out of here! Project Pirate. It's so difficult. The Darksman match always sounds like nonsense. I think I see enemies here. I don't need my eyes to see you, Jedi. So, gotcha. Your moveset is mine. Oh my god, your moveset is mine! Darkman, I knew it! You panic and conqueror! I did not think this through. I can't even begin to explain how uncomfortable this iPad is. What is he doing? What? What the fuck? Oh god, I'm going blind! I shouldn't have opened up my left eye! Did you see the indicator go from left to the top? Or am I just going blind right now? You know, For Honor has crossplay now. Still fast though? I mean, it's an incomplete lobby and I'm getting sent back to the main. But did you see how fast the game is about to disappoint you? Amazing. Drop down. Jump. I forgot to do this! Come on! I can't play like this! So this is my pirate, rocking the Anne Bonnie dress. It's just the red hair, honestly, it looks sick though. Anne Bonnie is a king! I originally wanted to do some kind of Jack Sparrow outfit, but unfortunately this hero is genderless. Something lies. I didn't think people would want to pretend to be Jack Sparrow, Davy Jones, Barbosa, or Jack Sparrow. Look at all these ugly ass helmets, man. They had a pirate hero and they're barely any like Caribbean pirates. What am I looking at? Pretty disappointed with the pirate's customization, but at least she's fun to play. I'm all about having fun. You know, I'm over Rep 200. I never would have thought I'd get here when I first started. Clearly, I like this game, so it's all about positivity now. Positive, you need medical attention. It's like a whole meme, right? For honor bad, for honor change. Yes, the game can get frustrating and personal, but doesn't mean it's not good. The joy and satisfaction you feel after absolutely obliterating someone and outplaying them is fucking biblical. The skill gap is insane. The learning curve is steep. All the little techs and tricks you can do. For Honor is one of the most unique game experiences you can have. So much depth and complexity to the fighting mechanics. I will always stand by sword game. One of my favorites. I'm not afraid to say that. For Honor is a good game. It always has been. Looky here, boy. Mostly, Ubisoft has essentially increased For Honor's lifespan for years. Why would you do that? Sorry, old habits. Good job, Ubisoft. Thank you. It's all about positivity now. 6 Uno, 6 yes. 5 days.
Oh, that's nice. Should we ask? Hey, yo, they're here. And the number.
83 days, 12 hours.
Against the red wine. What, dude? Oh, you're trash. It's a dog snack. At some point. Watch out.
All you guys
Get ready.
What?
You guys.
And then you'll say up? Yeah. Oh.
You're going to be like. No, this guy wants smoke.
Yeah, something's warrior.
Now look at the face. Well, damn, look at the
Silent jumps.
What's on that movie back there?
So,
What's on that? Hey, let me run fast. I'm gonna bring this actively shrinking.
Teammate.
I can chase you forever, not a while. Ah, yes.
Poor guy. Yes.
Yo.
Blackberry refuses to elaborate, please.
Oh my god. Thanks, where you have to finish
Oh, fuck. Dang, I'm just gonna stay quiet then.
Say it.
Alright, fine. 217 days now. Stop helping me. Stop helping me. What is he doing? Please die. Kill him. Yes. Looky here, boys. A lost bird that never learned to fly. Come on, guys. You don't have to let every attack fly. Come on, guys. I'm not sure fighting. I stand a better chance fighting it by myself. They said it 3 times. I can't go here, unfortunately. Excellently timed. Now that was a good game. High five. You're so funny. Hey, yeah, keep reacting. Oh, do it again. Oh, okay. I just want to the bang, bang. Is it the right button? Oh my god, I can see your name with Ubisoft account there. Look at me. It's all got spoilers there. Sprinter, guys, censor that. Your name's getting doxed. Oh, I think.
Yeah, no.
Your full name.
I want to eat.
Oh, shit. I thought
You killed me! You killed me, please! Wait, oh my god. Demir, why is your Ubisoft name? Yeah, James 13.
Don't touch him when he gets revenge.
Oh, that's
Soon. Art, role player. Bang. Here, I've stolen your moveset hard. Unfortunately for you, you are wet through. What is this horse doing? I don't so bad in the end game area. Hold him up here, right? Stop climbing! Let the poison come on. I gotta hear it. Back all conqueror. What type of conqueror are you being? A predictable one, it appears. Oh my god, stop embarrassing yourself. And dead. We're not, one more hit. No way. The fucking way! You have hang guard, the pirate. I can't believe you're still doing this. Was that an auction site? What timeline am I in?
What time are you playing?
Playing like that. No. Here we go. Oh my god. Please, I dreamed in Davy Jones' locker. I refuse to put things. Today's featured fan plan meeting is actually 2 meetings. The meeting video put up the second one. I'm just glad some of you watched it. More to come over at Tuesday. Like the videos and fast forward to the holidays. I'm so tired.
How to T one when you can't find your keys. Remote start on the...
I would never be a simp. At your service, my queen. It's actually about her armor for me. I find it so cool, especially the helmet. But that's it. It's just about the armor. Nothing more to it than that. Where Millennium strike This game is so good. I had no idea that there was a secret boss fight down here. Oh my god. It's the King of the Dragons. An ancient being of immense power. Walked this earth since the dawn of time. I'm gonna poke it in the butt till it dies. I'm dual-wielding Starlet Rock weapons. This poor bastard. This is how are you flying? He's actually gonna rot to death. Like, look at the damage. Where be the King of the Dragons? How? His body has too much mass. It's impossible. God, this looks amazing. Stop! He's gonna rot to death. Rest now, King of the Dragons. My God, it's the Prince of the Dragons. Behold, I made this weapon out of your dad. And so, as it was foretold, the Prince, the last of the dragons, has fallen. Their entire species wiped clean from Caleb to Lernia. Join me now as we honor the fallen dragons. Push me to the edge. Almost triggered. This is pretty sad, honestly. I'm at the end, but I don't want the game to end. doing it! Woo! I missed the boss! I missed the boss! The game's not over yet! I can keep playing! Whoops. Damn it. Do I just finish the game now? I don't know what else to do. I've done everything. All the world bosses are dead, the round table's on fire. There's like 2 people left to get. I guess it's what they say, all things must come to an end. I missed some loot here. That's new. This video is sponsored by none other than my favorite, Project Orochi. Be back. I'm a big supporter of Project Orochi. Half my live streams I'm wearing Orochi merch. Streetwear that's both stylish and comfy. I'm a fan. And I have a personal connection to a lot of these designs. They have Ghost of Tsushima, they have For Honor, and of course, they have a lot of great designs, especially in their newest Season 10 collection. You can go to their store and see all the different items they're offering. This new fisherman slabs. God damn, that is cool. As always, I'll leave a link to their store and their Instagram in the description, and you can use my promo code HEARING to get 10% off on your entire order. Shipping is free within North America, and once again, a big thank you to Project Orochi for continuing to support my channel. I don't think I explored this area. Probably somewhere loot on this. Dragon! I missed the best! This is the grand power of the dragon! Game's not over! I'm never leaving! I'll be playing this till the end of time! Alright, I'll go get the game. This place where the Elden Ring was shattered. I got this here. The Elden Ring. Radagon, Golden Border. And the final boss, he's not as crazy looking as you think. Assimilating your moveset, Radagon. Oh, okay. Noted. Let's heal up here. Up here. Miss! Hey, that explodes. Cool. Oh. Not this time, Radagon. I know it explodes. I've been in Malaya. As far as I'm concerned, she was the final boss. Malaya? 4 hits. I'll dodge the next one. I'll dodge the next one. Oh, that's new. What? How do you avoid that? What do you want from me, game? My fucking life. Here we go. Counter here. Careful. Twice. Delay. Got that one. Follow up. Delay. Fucking damn it! Uh-oh. I'll dodge the next one. I'll beat the game later. Let me fail in PvP, please. Oh, boo! He's using Moonbear. He's both laughing. Oh! 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 What? What? Oh, what? He's an invader! Same team! Fucking idiot! Round 10, Radagon. All my enemies fall at round 10. Oh! You jump over it. You? Delayed. Don't get greedy. Oh! Woo! I did it! And so, Radagon of the Golden Order has died. Didn't think so. Go. I made it! Your time has come, Melton Beast! Oh god, I don't know this move. What is he doing? And now I gotta start over. It's cool. There you go. Radagon's easy now, though. Elden Beast, meet Moonbear. Why? I'm not doing this shit again. You make me do this, Elden Beast. You forced my hand. Yeah, he deserves Moonbear, son of... That's a stun. Hit him. Swing, the swing. Finish him, finish him. Hey! I did it! I beat the game. Now what?
The battle is over, I see. 1,000-year voyage under the wisdom of the moon. Here, the king of the chill night encompasses all, reaching the great love. Well then, shall we?
Oh, what? What just happened? Where am I? Was it all a dream? And then I just... Sure, I guess.
I heard the movie sounds pretty good instead of giving it a try.
Moonvale. Does that sound so familiar?
I heard it's like a really high-risk, high-reward weapon.
You. I know you. What's going on? Look at my sword. It's got like wriggling tongues on it. It looks disgusting. I love it. The sword is the blasphemous blade! The blasphemous blade. This game's so fun. I love having fun. It's my favorite thing. Who am I? Get it? I'm going this way. Oh, get it. Oh, get it. Is that Chris style? Roderick's voice actor is so good. Somehow I know your moves, Roderick. Meant to do that. He's gonna rock to death. This game should not have let me use Scarlet Rock. I'm too powerful. Now rock, Roderick. What did I tell this guy last night? Maiden, dear Maiden, where are you? Please, take my grace. That's how Redditors get on women, I think. The big service. Wow. You will receive your laugh in 3 to 5 business days. Duel or a game? Duel or a game? A game. Okay. Woo! That was Moonvale. His name is Big Chungus, and he's using Moonvale. How unfunny can one person be? Nice. Yes! Kill! Yes! Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much how the PvP goes. It's pretty balanced because everything's bullshit. It's like, I thought.
Here's how to build long-lasting memories. With Void Composite Decking, you're not just building a deck, you're building a space that stands the test of time. Void Composite Decking.
Found this guy in the bowels of my comment section. I don't know about the point of this insulting rant about FromSoft fans. It's nice to know that I've insulted at least one FromSoft fan, because y'all are the worst. I'm not a FromSoft fan. I'm a FromSoft enjoyer. Here's another that I found. Last one I found. There are some players who will choose the boss order 100%. Already, this is how I'm picturing it. There's no way a newcomer can go deep on your favorite square to work. Whatever that means. Hell, it's even impossible for veterans right now. Also, you're terrible. I'm talking one-on-one without mimics or summons. Well, like this, man. Or cheese like blood and frost. I did both of those too. Well, I beat Melania, so I guess I'm better than you.
I'm currently running at Melania, level 120 with a great sword.
Oh, man. That's rough, but what a stressful way to live your life. So much gatekeeping in this annoying-ass bandits. God, I love this game, though. Okay, so I'm locked in the living room right now. I can't get in. Everyone's asleep. Nero! Tell them I'm here. Here, wake him up. Open the door. Give me a second, man. I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom. I'm running across state. My love is usually. Keep barking. Help. This is the God Slayer Greatsword! It has slain many a god. 0, actually. 0 gods. This is the God Slayer Greatsword! Should have ran away, pal. Shouldn't you heard the name? Yep, okay. Okay. Hey, this is balanced. I wouldn't be allowed to sell this here. Put a third guy in. Why not? Add to the excitement. These are the fights that piss me off. These lazy gangs. I guess you haven't heard that this is the God Slayer Greatsword. That's alright. You can learn. Wait. Got those guardian. I hate this place. Why am I even bothering with you with this rough cast? Only gods are worthy to fight me.
we need to address your tweets. What's going on, man? Do you need to talk?
What about my tweets?
What about the tweets? Lots.
Hey, whoa.
Hold on, I'm gonna sneak attack him.
You're scaring me.
Fucking Brazil, bro. Oh my god. You're such a shitter. You're such a shitter.
You're really good at this, yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm taking it down.
No.
Are you back for honor? Go down to the water.
Dude, go to the other side. This is my spot.
I hate submission.
Dude, let's do that horror statue thing. Just let's keep inching towards him while we have so that's
You're so happy.
Would you like to participate in a little fashion exhibition? Elden Ring, if you will. Multiplayer sessions can only have up to 4 people, so the boys and I can't do the usual huge contest. So why don't we think of something? I thought it would be fun. In the meantime, you can just send me your and I'll just model it for you. Tell me the helmet, the chest, the arms, the legs, and I'll put it on. The ones that I like best, I'll show them in the next video. If you're worried that I'm not going to have the armor you're using, I promise you that's not going to happen. I got everything. Unaltered Banished Knight chest, the high page set, the full knight set from every region. I'm not kidding. So come tarnish, come participate in Elden Ring. No way an Asian. Ferdinand Magellan arriving on He's gonna be a relaxed, kicking ass. You can go sleep. Perfectly done. Told you. People say it's undodgeable. Not this time, boy. Dodge. See, you gotta manifest your dodges, and it'll have it dodge. I see the loop down there. I gotta make my way north down. This is harder than the boss fight. No! Fuck! Yo, that last one was blade? Yo, man, quality! Oh, Rip Enjoyer! Are we best friends?
That's way better. Yeah, my LT did not work.
Where are you going? Man, running back to the first level. You guys see what I said to him? Losing my shit. POV Elders, speeding weight matter, and here's simple. Hey, brains, please. Oh! I
An excellent. I just want you to. Oh, yeah. Shut up, Elshins. Look at my phone.
Fire giant. Our battle has long been foretold. I got my friend, the warrior czar Alexander, with me. Everyone loves Alexander. Ever heard of iframes, fire giant? Oh, God. Alexander, watch out! Hey! Stop it! The fire giant is massive. That's his problem. He's stupid. Can't see that. Oh, shit. Get up, Alexander! I'm not leaving you behind, brother. It's such an epic boss fight. Miss! Eyeball, look at me! It's so creepy! Die. The Godslayer Grace. Huh. Maybe I'll do it. I'd like to play the game, please. Thank you. You forced my hand. Triple kill. Oh! You! Yes! Yes! Okay, there's a limit. Oh man, I'm gonna bully this poor bastard. Good God. Ew. Ow! That's it here. I'm so good at this. I'm a fucking god! Radigon, the golden order. How is it that your name rests upon my lips? Oh, frame drop, You, the elephants, magnificent creature, pure energy, stop running away. And at last, the Godslayer Greatsword earned his name. It's done. So much the same, yet this I have not seen. Oh, cool. So that's what other will Oh, what? What happened? Is it all a dream?
Don't remember that Garrett Crochet needs stopping John there. Not to mention Lance Levis and Torment. Team's highest paid players for the third buyout of Chris Davis's Albatross. It would have been Carlos Correa in his $300 million contract, but that fell through in the end. The Orioles offered back to Correa? There aren't enough dollar dog nights to get people to come to this shit otherwise. The only option is to pray for Adley Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez. Everything else will probably be traded by July. You know what else you have in this brutal division? Potential return of Matt Harvey. Pretty much an excuse to get us through another year. Last year was a mere reloading to a previous run that had been expected of them. Much to the chagrin of everyone out in Boston, the Red Sox are preparing for their eventual journey to the promised land of moving over the Yankees. The starting rotation is high risk, high reward. Added to with former Yankee James Paxton and the living legend of Dick Mountain. And now bring Jackie Bradley back for another go-around. But there was something bugging me down. They lacked a legitimate stamp of certification for off-season success. Why not fortify the infield with a potential long-term complement to Devers and Bogarts? Colorado free from Coors Hell, allow me to introduce Trevor Story. It's okay, Trevor, you're allowed to read the air. It doesn't cost extra here. What does is pushing for another World Series. With an elite infield on paper, it should be closer than they realize. The rest of us pray. The fortunate thing with this new age of hell is that only one of the Yankees or Red Sox can have momentum at any sort of time. In this case, the Bronx gets to experience relatively the same thing. Anthony Rizzo's back, that should be good for them, right? The free agents are pursuing the hot item. Who do you think's in charge, Daddy George? No, you'll take your aging bringer of rain and Isaiah kind of Felipe and Watkins. Got rid of Gary Sanchez for you unbelievable punches, isn't that good enough? That's what the Yankees seem to be aiming for. Just good enough. They're throwing every single leg they have into the basket of Anthony Volpe. I'll give them credit for trying to cultivate a great core from within, but you're the Yankees. You have expectations. Fans aren't going to like this patient approach. Do you see what Boston's doing? You can't fucking let Tampa Bay one up you. It's a second home to the Bronx. The great cycle of talent will continue on in St. Petersburg. The Athletics have never questioned their methods, as there will be incredible bounties that are lavished upon the race for their cutting-edge techniques. Wonder Franco is emerging as one of the best talents in the game. And before he's priced out of the team entirely, they paid him an unbelievable haul for a second-year player. Most impressive thing about this contract is that he'll match its value and then some. The quest of revival, Corey Kluber is now a part of the rotation, but the keys are in the minor league system. There's so much more on the way. There will be plenty to keep an eye on in our great quest to secure a World Series on a budget. However, there was one thing that was a blemish to their greatness. That was their half-baked desire to go halfsies with Montreal. And a rare stroke of sanity by baseball, they realized that the idea was not only idiotic, it would blow up spectacularly. The plan was killed off. A disaster was averted, but then they do the right thing and mend the fence with Tampa. You know that's where their best future is, but can they admit it? Last year was merely a taste of what the New Age Blue Jays can do. They've returned to Canada full time. Now they will return to prominence. Two great players may be gone, but look at what they have added for the pitching core. Two Cincins, Cucci, Kevin Gossman, and Jimmy Garcia are huge pieces. And it's what Toronto needs to get to that next level. Locking Jose Barrios up for 7 years is another piece to the puzzle, but something is missing. They know they need to finalize the infield, being an elite first or third baseman. Their final decision was buy at the Great Oakland Fire Sale. Matt Chapman is outstanding, and should be a great depth option for a lineup that should destroy any pitching rotation in its path, even in the AL East. All goes according to plan, they may be able to be something special. That's a word I don't use lightly. With their talent, as long as the bullpen gains consistency, they should compete for the top of the AL. All I hope is that it doesn't fall apart. The White Sox emergence into the elite of baseball, there are certain expectations of what is to be done. In this regard, it's bolstering and tweaking to find the perfect balance between youthful core and veteran experience. Signing the likes of Josh Harrison, Joe Kelly, and Kendall Graveman should help with both the bench and bullpen, but Craig Kimbrell hasn't worked out here. The closer in a setup role's clothing. Trading him to the Dodgers for A.J. Pollock should be a needed refresh for both men. Even if they paid a premium for Kimbrell at the deadline, but let's forget about all that. Cubs fans may be laughing, but Southside should be outstanding this season. The only thing that can stop them is injury and underperformance. Good for them that Garrett Crochet needs Tommy John back. Not to mention Lance Levis and Troy Manesky. It's almost with a new name for the team, but old habits die hard. Organizational cheapness has cost the historical simulation of American expansion at least several years of playoff runs. What they did was so predictable it may as well rise in the East. Absolutely nothing. They're heading for is awful. No need to try and fix it. They can get no hit 4 times this season. I get they're a small market franchise, but they aren't even trying. Should have get off the pot, Cleveland. If you aren't going to make a good faith effort to compete, then trade Jose Ramirez. He's too talented to run on such an awful lineup. The good news and bad news are that they aren't. Jose's getting paid the richest contract in Cleveland's history for carrying a sad sack irrelevance. I already know how this is going to go. Strong pitching core will keep them in the playoff hunt, but them being cheap bucks will cost them any chance at greatness. Know how I know? It's been their calling card for the last 3 seasons. It's always a shock to me when formerly paid franchises find their lost love of spending money on players and talent. Mike Gillich rose from the grave and compelled his son to invest in the brand. Plenty of great free agents in the ball. Tigers will take a swing at a free-swinging dynamo and hockey buy-in. They love to fill an organizational need long-term. Don't need them until like the Brownie Green and Spencer Torkelson come into their own. Don't stop there. Add Austin Meadows to a growing outfield. The new core will begin to form. Investing in the future will only lead to what eluded Mr. Rye during his final year. Carlos Correa almost came along, but the late owner's power was only so strong. Couldn't conjure more money to run in. There are more sentimental achievements to relish, like Miggy's inevitable 3,000 hits. It's been so long since he's won a ring. They said at least let him relive that moment in a time machine or something. Comes a time when rebuilds need to begin to show fruit in order to be judged as successful. Last season for the Royals, there were flashes of outright brilliance, but no consistency. 2022 Kansas City will choose to add to their legend by means of talent inside and outside of the organization. Pitching Amir Garrett is here to hopefully rebound and not see the Pittsburgh Pirates. But an old faces return. His weathered from years of training will now lead a young staff to greatness. Zach Greinke has come home. Sadly not the most important ball player in the series to return, but it's pretty hard to beat that guy out. Royals are a low-key sleeper considering how things turn out. It'll be a long shot, but considering their highs last year, it may be closer than we think. Daylight savings time may have passed, but there was only one clock that Kansas City followed. That's the Bobby Wood Jr. stick. His greatness has been teased and murmured about from coast to coast. This season is when we should finally get a taste of such magic for ourselves. It will be a boom to baseball, and I can't wait to see it. Aren't the only owners confused as to what Minnesota's doing? Last year was brutally disappointing, but the apparent solution to running into a brick wall over and over again is to keep running into it before your bones break. The names they brought in symbolize one thing. They need to break through. Semi-grade to revitalize an aged and beleaguered pitching staff. Giovanni Urshela to replace an aging Josh Donaldson. Gary Sanchez released from his prison sentence as Yankee whipping ball. And Carlos Correa. He went here. You'd think he'd go for more of a long-term contract, but he's gambling on opting out the next season or two. It's a weird choice of team to pick. Tatis? I guess if they can stay healthy and their pitching can revive from last year's slump, perhaps Minnesota earns another chance at breaking their curse. In all seriousness, how the hell was it that they ended up with Correa? The succubus relish isn't your target. You know why. Taste the glories of another championship, but you can never experience it for yourself again. The blood cost for that deal with the Devil in 2017 will continue to take its toll. You thought it was just the Texans and Rockets suffering with catastrophic playoff loss. No, sir, that's just an optimistic line of thinking. Zach Greinke is the main cause of doing business with her. He was expendable thanks to their young pitching. Remember how you needed to sign Carlos Correa? Yeah, about that. He's got to pass for some short-term money. It shouldn't be a catastrophic loss, but losing that much star power in the span of a few years obviously can't be good for a team. I only wonder if last season was their best shot. They still have Altuve and Bregman, but Bregman's going to want to get paid sooner rather than later. If they keep up in the AL West, most of their rivals are trying to bolster themselves. Yes, the Angels who don't want to be associated with Anaheim. Few teams make me more infuriated than that. Mostly because they should be a lot better than what they are. Shohei Ohtani even has a rule named after him so he can display more of his greatness in the batter's box. Mike Trout's coming back. Great prospects in the hitting ranks coming up until in March. Just enough to cast off to be paid to play elsewhere. Anthony Rendon hopefully not being injured to hell and back. I'd be more hopeful, but one horrifying addiction the Angels can't break is their fixation on one-year pitching experiments. I like Grayson Iglesias and Archie Bradley as well, but that's not it. We're talking about Noah Syndergaard. $21 million for a guy who's only pitched 2 innings in the last 2 seasons? It's not a 6-year contract to match Scherzer, but this is close to it if it blows up in their face. Artie Moreno is definitely afraid of reaching the luxury tax threshold, and his moves have shown more than enough of that. We all know it's Moreno pulling the strings here. Please get him out so the Angels can finally live up to their potential. Unpermit all you want, but the writing was on the wall long before this moment. More than concrete rumors of wanting a $40 to $50 million payroll didn't need Sherlock Holmes to detect what was going on. Barring a salary floor, there would be purging. Good news for John Fisher's Ledger, there's no cap floor. Drop the nukes on this godforsaken franchise for as long as you want. I agree that Oakland wasn't good enough to make a legit claim for a World Series as assembled, but this is a team that needed to add. Don't blow everything sky high. When I say everything, I mean every goddamn thing. The early estimates were being kind. They're now down to a $35 million payroll. This is before Frankie Montas bucks off. Welcome to hell, Oakland. Sandbagging to get fans apathetic enough to allow for a potential move. The only hope for baseball here is at Howard Terminal. I hate to say it, but there's been a major setback. California happened, and an advisory board recommended against changes to the terminal. Not to mention a lawsuit is being filed against the project. Oakland, you have 2 months to get your shit together or else the A's are moving to Las Vegas. Their patience is running thin. It's been over 20 years since the Mariners have even come to taste the glories of a wildcard game. That is humiliation in its own right. They may have vastly overachieved considering every metric in the book, but all they need is a stronger hitting core to realize their greatness. Gary DeVotto isn't a slouch. He will do everything in his power to fulfill potential. Adam Frazier is a leadoff option. Eugenio Suarez is an overpaid reclamation project, and the true prize in Jesse Winker. He will be the yin to Mitch Haniger's yang. A legitimate two-headed power option that will strike fear in every pitcher facing them. Their prospect pool is still loaded with talent. Don't forget about Jarred Kelenic's potential progression and Julio Rodriguez's torrid spring. The future here is somehow bright, but I'm reserved. Remember, they teased this greatness more than once before, only to fall flat. I'm cautiously optimistic. Have to keep my bases covered, you know. One of the greatest traditions in Texas Rangers history is throwing money at nearly every single thing with talent that moves. It's a short-term fix to a long-term problem that usually never works out in their favor, but by God, it won't ever stop them from trying to get back to the promised land. They need great bats to mask how awful their hitting core have become after the deadline. Their answers for it? A strong offensive catcher in Mitch Garver, one of the hottest shortstops in baseball in Corey Seager, and an over 30-second baseman in Marcus Semien. He's coming off a career year in his own right. Over $500 million invested in these men. That's never backfired on teams, have it? My issue isn't with the hitting. I think all three of them will do fine, but what about pitching? John Gray's a start, but that's another great tradition of Rangers baseball. Neglecting it to where they either rush prospects to ruination or sign guys who don't fit their organizational philosophy. At the very least, their games will hopefully be offensive slugfests. We hope not for the other team. After an unprecedented World Series title, after losing both their best hitter and the pitcher, the Braves had a lot of dilemmas headed into the offseason. The main one? Freddie Freeman. The great link between the playoff window of both the dark ages of tanking and the championship rewards of it all. Sentimental was saying goodbye here as baseball is business. Freeman was going to be paid well on the market, and the Braves chose to go elsewhere. These bitter feelings probably lasted for about 5 minutes. This is because they went out and replaced him with another elite first baseman in Matt Olson. He's not only younger than Freeman, but he was extended at a rate that will make him a longtime stalwart of the club on his own. Yes, it's not Freddie Freeman, but Ronald Acuna's coming back. Not to mention they nabbed Kenley Jansen for the bullpen. Starting to dip from his greatness, but he's still damn good. They'll need him too with Luke Jackson's injury. Any World Series champion will tell you that defending a title is rough. Braves will learn about how perilous this road is shortly. There's trouble in paradise. Marlins had a bitterly disappointing season, but I'll give them props for trying. Try to fix your massive catching deficit with a trade for Jacob Stallings, you at least get that. Even if Stallings probably won't hit like that again, it's still better than what they had. There were rumors of Miami looking to expand their payroll. Jorge Soler was brought in to boost their home run totals and fan interest with the Cuban population. But it feels like there's a contrast in between ideologies. Why do I mention this? It might have to do with the fact that Derek Jeter stepped down as CEO. There could be something sinister happening. Ownership might not have been willing to spend to what Jeets wanted. That killer pitching staff needs to be supported more. I don't know if they can or want to do it. That's the problem. Turmoil in Miami baseball. Why do we keep coming back to this point? Fans love him. Owners loathe him. The Lopons sit in the back counting their money from the sale of the team. All this and more is in part to Daddy Steve. There's a reason why they're calling the upper luxury tax tier point the Cohen threshold. It's because he's going to do everything in his power to buy a championship for Queen, even exceeding the threshold named after him. For whatever reason, this seems to mean bringing in a shit ton of players from the Oakland A's. Marcana, Starling Marte, and Chris Bassett conscripted to bolster the outfield and starting rotation. That's nice and all, but the Mets need more power. Injuries destroyed them last season. They need to give Billy Epler and Buck Showalter everything they can for glory. That man is Max Scherzer, the heterochromatic legend destined for Cooperstown. But first, a trip to Queens where he'll be paid over $43 million a year. He's making more than some team's entire payroll. There are no excuses this season. Wait a second, they hired Buck Showalter? Did they not see how well he looked during his final years in Baltimore? But let's be real, even he can't fuck this up with a Mets. That'll probably go to Jacob DeGrom being shut down for a month due to arm issues. Oh God, not again. When you roll with Dave Dombrowski, cutting payroll is not an option. You can talk a game of being frugal, but then Dave will cut off one of your limbs and feed them to the spent harem of blood-hungry sharks. You will spend and you will spend handsomely on talent, goddammit. To further torment the Mets, Kyle Schwarber is here to hit literal bombs into the bleacher. This will mostly be done at Citi Field, as all good men should do. They pride themselves as men of faith. There's the Dragon to keep led by Nick Castellanos, and that'll be a 5-year contract. One problem. Is anyone going to ask how this team is going to play defense? Most of their metrics suggest that they'll field about as low as the ruble's currency exchange rate. They do have a damn good starting rotation, but how about that bullpen? Paying good money for the likes of Yoris Familia and Brad Cannon? They think this was 2018. Been garbage for a few seasons now. Dave, has anyone ever updated your scouting reports? A hard reset is underway. Saying goodbye to longtime faces last season was tough but necessary. It's not all bad, however. Nelson Cruz will continue his ball-swatting excellence as a DH, and Juan Soto is still as potent of a player as the Nats have ever seen. Only in agree to an extension. Washington has tried to pay him the big bucks, but Soto is waiting for his time. It will come. Many will throw endless waves of money at him to hit with authority for their team. Speaking of the Nationals, they're hoping for something better, but considering the rest of their division adding, I'm not that optimistic. They'll need some serious development from their prospects to have any hope for the future. Jared Giboom, it'd be nice to be played up to your prospect status. Not fall victim to injury yet again. Joe Ford is gone, but that doesn't mean the Cubs aren't trying to revitalize what was once their greatest era. They'll do it with new faces this time around. Young prospects and returns in the trades of last season will be emerging soon. Marcus Stroman is free from the clutches of low Mets to be a mid-rotation starter and call Mets fans cancer. Perhaps rightfully so. Poor-man Tommy Baez and Jonathan Villar is going to be a competent stopgap for the time being. But the real prize as international player. One of the greatest players out of the rising sun in a long time. The new face of the Cubs franchise, Seiya Suzuki. All goes according to plan, he won't be the second coming of Kosuke Fukudome. Never mention that name to Cubs fans. There will be nothing but pain. Only hope that won't be the price to pay for wiping the slate clean. I've always been bearish on the Reds, and this season has justified it. You thought Oakland was the only team launching nukes on their own organization? Oh, baby, you ain't seen the aftermath in Cincinnati. Thanks to cheap ownership, nearly every star player not locked down to an unmovable contract is out of the organization. We're talking Sonny Gray, Amir Garrett, the flopping Shogo Akiyama, and most of their better hitters in the guard. This includes Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker. A horrible price to pay for the cost of shedding a Eugenio Suarez. Since he may have outstanding prospects in youth, but what does it all mean when the organization refuses to spend to fortify it? Am I supposed to be impressed with Tommy Pham? The actual hell are you doing? Saving pennies means nothing when you eventually bleed dollars. Better hope those cut payrolls and TV contracts are worth it in the end. This team has become irrelevant. This year might be aggravating to witness. Nobody's wondered about how elite their pitching core and bullpen is. We're all aware how blistering the Brewers are in that regard, as they should continue to be for a while to come. The question has always been in the batter's box and ignored as a local bomb. That's the main reason why they couldn't go far last season. While they didn't splurge much on options, it doesn't mean that they failed to try. How else could you describe the greatness of Andrew McCutchen? As a DH, I might add. Hunter Renfroe for roof in the lineup. Yeah, much, but there should at least be some semblance of development from the bats this time around, right? You'd expect Yelich back to heal up this time, right? They won't waste that killer starting rotation again, right? They're going to suck harder than anyone has ever sucked before. We'll see you when they trade Brian Reynolds for more Magic League. Or when they extend to Brian Hayes. Holy shit, the Pirates spent money, it's the apocalypse. He is home. He should have never left, but the prodigal son has returned hundreds of millions of dollars richer and fresh off a divorce. Albert Pujols will have his last ride as a Cardinal, where he belongs. It'll be a year full of feels and nostalgia that hasn't been experienced since Derek Jeter's ego drove her around the world. Final ride for Pujols, Yadier Molina, and Adam Wainwright. Cardinals legends bowing out with what will probably be a World Series run, because this is how this unbelievable bullshit works. Will there be joy in fields or slightly less joy with emphasis on fields? Head over to Busch Stadium to find out for yourself. There's even a Stephen Matz for the rotation to help out. Everything else will probably be some incredible bullshit from within, as always. It will somehow win 90 games. It will take 9 years for Pujols to get back to Anaheim. Arizona is lost. A The last season's free fall from hell, they're merely assuming it was an aberration and are trying to strive for that wonderful mediocrity that said Blake teams try to reach. For their off-season, they didn't do too much. Once again, they're trying to say that last year was a fluke that won't be repeated. With a team that didn't think this had Zach Davies to the rotation or Mark Valance into the back of their bullpen, I know exactly what you're thinking. It has to do with the Diamondbacks having no idea what to do or where to go, and you'd be correct. They don't want to take a bath on their losses, and it's completely understandable. The issue is they're not good enough as constructed to do anything in the division they're in. I won't give them credit for extending Ketel Marte. He's an incredible talent. All I ask is that you keep him where he's best in the infield. It will at least cover up the massive issues with the roof cables at Chase Field. Now we can see why they're clamoring for renovation. What the actual fuck? I can't read Colorado at all. They had tens of millions of dollars to get rid of their franchise base. Do nothing at the deadline last year and shit their pants. All the while they let John Gray and Trevor Story leave for almost nothing. It's embarrassing enough that they pull a sudden 180 on us all and throw a massive contract up at Chris Bryant. I get the situation was untenable, but in this case, why the hell didn't you just keep Arenado? Traded for Randall Grichuk and extended Ryan McMahon too, which is great. Probably won't be enough to be anything more than mediocre in their division, but that's what the Rockies want. The Monforts are in their base of spend just enough to get asses to come to the ballpark. That will work wonderfully until they trade them all for random trinkets in 3 years' time. Don't give me the argument that Brian has a no-trade clause. Never stop them from trading Arenado. You're seen as the cream of the crop. You'll do everything in your power to stay that way. The Dodgers have been burning millions of dollars in the hope of winning glories beyond their comparison days of Obama. Their day two rivals force them to keep pushing for greatness. The names of the little brother complex in San Diego and the rich daddy moneybags and Steve Cohen. Pitching is a question mark, but they'll find enough to somehow be really good. Clayton Kershaw's back for another round, so it helps as long as he stays healthy. Trevor Bauer's still stuck in the league of absence, but he could eventually be free to strike out batters and be a colossal douchebag. The bullpen is loaded up with Craig Kimbrell, who had a renaissance last year with the Cubs. They ignore that he fell off a bit with the White Sox, but that's why he was so cheap to get for them. The true prize is Atlanta's great hero in Freddie Freeman. And will solidify first base for at least the next decade plus. LA will create a murderous row that rivals the 27 Yankees in their minds. All you have to do is see the names and tremble in fear. Cody Bellinger somehow remembers that he can hit baseballs with authority and may be the best hitting core in recent memory. It's so great that Jake Roberts has guaranteed a World Series for Los Angeles. Very boldly, those statements tend to never blow up in a deep space. AJ Preller's great project is falling apart in front of him. Last season's collapse still lingers in their mouths, like a bitter pill swallowed for 2 straight months. What would the Padres do to try and correct the situation? Technically, it would probably fix with bringing in Bob Melvin, but their rivals are loaded. They have to find ways to beat the Dodgers. Most options for them have come up short. All attempts to shed the instantly regrettable signing of Eric Hosmer of failed. Luke Boyd is taking over that set. However, they didn't go away empty-handed. The Oakland fire sale has brought them Sean Manaea to potentially make them one of the best rotations in baseball top to find. My question is, how long can the Padres keep doing this without results? We saw what happened last season. Another year of this may mean the end for Preller's great all-in experiment. I have more hope for their efforts. I did before Fernando Tatis Jr. decided to try and imitate Easy Rider. Busted up his wrist and is out for a few months. Adventures with two-wheelers and injuries, something the NOS knows all too well. My main fear with San Francisco is wondering if they're merely a one-year wonder. I know I shouldn't think like this, and the Giants are trying to make sure it isn't the case, but how will they do without the likes of Kevin Gausman and Buster Posey?
Dude, Joyce is injured shit. That is not that good. He's been really good.
Then again, these are the Giants. Their efforts are like creating an endless oasis in the Sahara. Having the likes of Carlos Rodon, Alex Cobb, and Matt Boyd for the rotation should be excellent. Matt Boyd will be the next big revitalization project for baseball and become an ace. It's the law. This merry band of misfits, reclamation projects, and tough prospects will be a group that desires more of the life that has been given to them. They shocked the world last season, and I fully expect they'll want to do more of the same this time around. Hopefully without the painful series loss to the Dodgers. Am I asking too much for that? You all know the season has already started by the time this video is out. mad dash to the finish. Then the mountain only gets steeper with playoff hockey. Do you know what will help you get to this fantastic prize along with other events? That would be the sponsor of this video, SeatGeek. I've been working with them for what seems like an age, and I've been using their app even longer. Live events are slowly coming back into view with the summertime of hockey. You know what that includes, right? Playoff hockey, the greatest spectacle of the sports here in my unbiased opinion. SeatGeek stores all tickets available on a 1 to 10 scale and are color-coded for ease of use. Green means good, red means bad. But there really isn't a bad seat in a modern arena, right? SeatGeek isn't just for hockey, but for any sport, concert, or event that requires a ticket to get in. So let's just say you wanted tickets to the weekend, either Creators, John Mayer, or any performer you can think of. SeatGeek can get you there while helping you not get screwed on fake tickets. You should all know by now to use the code word FREE in the link below to save $20 off your first purchase. Live events are a spectacle to be cherished, and SeatGeek is your aid in helping you get the most out of them. Speaking of that, how does the NHL wish to get to that point? It's only polite to start things off with the Stanley Cup champions and internal mockers of the draft video 1819 in the deserts of Tampa Bay Lightning. They're gunning for a 3-seed, a very challenging task. There's no denying Tampa Bay has talent, but they need to flesh out their lineup for the playoffs. They need versatility and standing, or the cost be dead. With two men, they hope they have found a new Coleman and Goodrow, Brandon Hagel and Nick Paul. Both should be worthwhile contributors to the cause, but they cost aผืm and a half to get. Hagel himself cost 2 firsts and 2 NHL regulars in Taylor Radish and Forston Sugar. However, he is under contract for the next few seasons at an affordable rate, and his scoring touch should be critical for their depth. Nick Paul is a bit cheaper, but the same dilemma, costing a fourth than Matthew Joseph. It's much easier to swallow when you realize the players traded were never going to get a chance to properly develop on the top 6. But they assessed the situation and made the moves to get them ready for the big game. I'd say it was good work for what it's worth. They're going to need it in the division they're in. The Panthers are an outfit that have few rivals to their mind. However, one of them happens to be in the same damn state. It doesn't matter if they are already great, they need more. They're an flat out until the postseason, they will be tested even if it's not the worst case scenario. Men like Robert Hake and Ben Sherratt were added to the back end. Analytics outright despise them, which is why Sherratt cost the first rounder and other futures. However, that isn't important in the grand scheme. What does is flow through. For far too long, he's been forced to toil on terrible fire squads while the team around him spews watery bile under the ice. Today, however, that will change. Guided Philly right towards the Panthers for a trade. He will be plopped on a line with Barkov or Huberdeau. And it costs them next to nothing to do. I don't know how, but a deadly forward core just got even deadly. There are no excuses for Florida this season. They must get it done, regardless of human cost. If they don't, they become a mockable target like this next team. I always felt like something was up with Toronto, even during their strong stretch. Somehow didn't feel sustainable. I could look at stat sheets and analytical charts for ages and still be unconvinced of their power. As of the past few months, we found the major flaw in their play. Team goaltending has fallen to absolute shit. It's gone from a surprising strength to their biggest liability in nearly every contest.
Second for this
possible
year
at
and
this
for
level.
Freddie.
They can't make a save, they can't hold a lead. Things have gotten insanely dire on this front. Jack Campbell has fallen off the map, costing himself millions of dollars this offseason. Not to mention that he's injured for a few weeks. Peter Mrazek has unleashed bad Peter Mrazek from slumber. And he's been so well received that he was put on waivers. And not claimed by anyone. Injuries starting to take hold, the Leafs brought another local boy home. Mark Giordano. He's not what he wants, but him and Colin Blackwell should be good to shore up the depth. And they didn't have to trade a first-round pick to do it. Too bad there's nothing about the goaltending, which the plan was to sign Harrison Terry from Europe. Before he was playing by Arizona off waiver. Now it's hope to God someone gains for him in nets, even if it's David fucking Ayers. They fail again. Cal Dubas is having his office cleaned out by means of throwing his stuff off the balcony. I wonder if he can have a higher save percentage than his goalies. Bruins never die. As often as you'd think, they seem to be starting to taper off. They'll find great form and have us all questioning Vegas' son. We thought they were merely okay earlier in the year. This was before a sudden hot streak deep into February that has them knocking on Toronto and Tampa's door. We thought Jake DeBrusk was going to be on his way out. Little did we all know that he would revive the past form and sign an extension with the team. He wasn't traded. We thought Boston would break the bank for anything this year with how everything was going. Enter Hampus Lindholm. He struggled a bit this season, but his talent is undeniable. To get him, they need to open the vault. I think it's safe to say the metric system they traded is roughly opening several vaults. And they keep opening those vaults to give them an 8-year extension sight unseen. It's fair value for a second-pairing defenseman, but it's highly risky. Only if I had 100% confidence that Patrice Bergeron was going to be re-signed, I'd have more hope. Perhaps they should have tried to do something to fix their lack of center depth. All that's left to do is keep forming chemistry and shore up a few faults. The Atlantic is a death march. Not to say that the Metro is a place of cakewalks and joke opponents. On the contrary, there are 4 teams fighting for a place at the table of the elites. Leading the way right now is Carolina, who are still playing with a form that's been teased in the past. The wave of success has led them to keep pushing for true greatness. This very company, their internal trophy for winning the Battle of Aho was extended for 8 more years of taunting Montreal. As for help at the deadline, the choice for them was in Max Domi. Followed the paper in Columbus, and he didn't cost much, so if he sucks, whatever, was worth a shot. Same goes for the Rangers, who are second in tow right now. New York is emerging, but the goal for them was to solidify the depth and bottom 6. The likes of Andrew Tom, Tyler Mott, Frank Petrano, and Justin Braun, they have accomplished just that. Tom and Mott should instantly aid the bottom 6. Petrano is solid scoring guys, and Braun is a viable defender in his own right. The future toss wasn't Steve either. As long as New York keeps up his scoring pace, New York should be a viable opponent. Same might be said for Pittsburgh, but the Penguins were in a bit of a pickle with the salary cap on a roster with some holes. Nobody was able to score alongside Evgeny Malkin. This year is critical in their juncture. Nathan Beaulieu is in the knot. They must make a splash. They did with Rickard Rakell, who should move right to Malkin's way. The price was steep. The Penguins may not get another chance after this, especially with Malkin, Letang, and Ross potentially getting free agency this offseason. The Caps, they went for more of a nostalgic approach. Johan Larsson is a good get for the bottom 6, but look who they brought back. Mojo! The real one, not the imitator they have now. Johansson can find his form with Washington again. He will be a tremendous asset. The 4 Metro playoff contenders are all but set, but there is still much to fight for. Positioning is critical. None of them will make it easy on the other. Which is good news for the rest of us, but not for any of the teams in question. I figured even for their shitty season, Philadelphia would at least get the deadline correct. The shock of almost no one, this was botched as well. I'll give them a pass for Claude Giroux. He was the franchise face for almost a decade, and the Flyers squandered a good chunk of his career. Philly was never going to sign him, but he had control of where he wanted to go thanks to his no-movement clause. There were probably significantly better deals on the table, but Giroux wanted to go to Florida. Flyers had no leverage. Therefore, they only receive a first, a third, and an Owen Tippett who was obsolete in Florida's system. It doesn't matter if Tippett reaches his potential, it's still a bad look in a year full of them. The only other things they did was trade depth pieces for mid-round picks. Do you want to know what's funnier than throwing significant futures for Rasmus Ristolainen? Doubling down on said foolish decision by extending him for 5 more years. The rest of the Metro celebrates your desperation. Your rivals congratulate you on this decision. The rest of the Eastern Conference was a combination of truth selling and people who didn't know from the likes of Nick Leddy and depth pieces, while keeping Tyler Bertuzzi is a plus for them, even if their consistency is next to nothing these days. On the other hand, you get the Islanders, who did nothing. Extended Cal Clutterbuck and Zach Parise. That was it. Okay. Columbus was in the same boat, but at least they could argue their team is young and got something from Max Domi. What about New Jersey? What did they do besides stand pat? Must have not like the prices being offered for their players. Maybe you're someone like a Montreal who got really nice hauls for the pieces they sold as predicted, especially the Lehkonen and Sherrod return. Very solid. It's been a rough year, but they can finally begin to clean up from the horrible story. Stay the same for Ottawa and Buffalo? Buffalo didn't have much to trade. They're still trying to build from nothing, so I'll let them go for now. Ottawa, though, not just selling pieces, but they traded a third-round pick for Travis Kapanen, who was on waivers a few months ago. I think it's 2018 or something. I don't get it. And at least get what Colorado is trying to do. Bolster everything they can to get past the dreaded second round. Unless they become the next great meme of the hockey world, the Avs know they cannot squander this golden opportunity. The team they present is excellent. However, that doesn't mean anything if they shit the bed come playoff time. When everyone else adds, they must counter with more adding. Josh Manson from Anaheim to further solidify the defensive core, fortunately at a discounted rate. The second piece is Arturi Lehkonen from Montreal. He cost a good bit more. Think one of the better prospects in Justin Barron. Add a second rounder to that. Very steep bill for a middle six forward, but it's a pay-to-play game.
Does not want extensions. Okay, so I may gonna have to trade him in here.
Well, but the goal has always been the same. Playoff success. There is nothing else to be said. We'll speak further in April. Minnesota, on the other hand, isn't as formidable as Colorado, but they have the potential to make noise if everything goes according to plan. They will be fucked by the Suter and Parise buyouts next year, so the time is now. It has to be. And they need to secure a top prize to have any chance at glory. So there's something a bit out of left field, but it's an instant upgrade in next. Marc-Andre Fleury. Flower is free from the bullshit of Chicago. That's needed prestige to allow team eager to upend the top dogs in the West. Dick Muslim Capo talking into him being obsolete, but Jacob Middleton was fetched from San Jose to add to the defensive core. Added Tyson Jost in the hopes that he lives up to his first-round pedigree, and you have an intriguing group. Minnesota is trying to make themselves known, and they might be running out of time, especially against their rivals in the Central. St. Louis and Nashville are in the same tier as Minnesota. Solid teams that aren't considered to be creme de la creme, but can make deep runs if everything clicks into place. Both of these squads know this and act accordingly. I do object to the moves they've made, though. Blues in their quest to shore up the defensive pairings traded for Nick Leddy. That's great, if this were 2 seasons ago. Leddy has been awful in this run. The price they paid was very steep, including a defenseman who played well with Bennington was his next. Pretty bold for a gamble, I'd say. Nothing else done, however. Don't the break-ins catch fire like 2019 team. The Preds are in the same style of thinking. Renaissance from key players and young prospects has put them back in an intriguing position. In USA they trust. They confirmed it by acquiring defensive help in Jeremy Lauzon for a second-round pick. A second for Jeremy Lauzon. Is this what we come to these days? I don't mind Lauzon, but for that price, that's get more than if Phil Forsberg is allowed to walk in free agency over the summer. By the way, good luck on that front. The teams caught in the middle, like the Stars and Jets, they want to believe that they're still relevant to the grand scheme, but are ignorant. They fail to realize that their windows are faded and will be best selling off assets. I'll give Winnipeg credit, they somewhat tried to do this. They got a nice haul for Andrew Kopp, however, they decided to bring back Mason Appleton and trade for Zach Sanford. The Jets are a mess.
He's on? He's on? Start? Yeah, okay, okay, sweep. Up. Yeah, I know. Okay. I'll be right back, okay? Oh, I haven't seen you only one water. I trade one. So nice to see it. Okay. Just that, okay? Okay. Start.
Is a bit bleak. Anton Dobin and Braden Holtby are both on LTIR. Dallas is trying to save jobs, but it's at the expense of their future. And be careful, Limbo is the same torture that the Red Wings had for years. Jim Nill should know this. Let's go on to more positive situations, like Calgary. Don't know how it happened, but we're finally seeing it. Calgary Flames are playing up to their potential. Incredibly shitty puns aside, the Flames are on a hot streak that hasn't been seen in a good bit. Everything is humming like a bird. Darryl Sutter hasn't been a fossil at first year, but adaptive and the right coach for the situation. They look like contenders. Holy shit, Calgary, you did it! You stopped underachieving. Everyone give them a round of applause. I will be impressed at their run, but I'll say the same thing I said to Toronto. Win a playoff series, and then we'll discuss your cup ambitions. With them bringing in the likes of Tyler Toffoli and Kalle Youngkrook, I'm confident they can put up a valiant effort in doing so. They're going to do this, right? It won't be like 2019 again. Please say it won't. Vegas is a cautionary tale. They are what happens when you go to the casino too often and keep doubling down on your losses in an attempt to hit the jackpot. You pray for miracles, but regardless of what you do, you go bust. A strong majority of their core is injured, some of them long-term. Vegas doesn't have anywhere near the depth to compensate for it due to years of all-in pushes that have failed. Jack Eichel is back from surgery, but it's nowhere near enough. What do they do with that? Robin Lehner might be out for the rest of the season. And while it'd be awful nice to have someone like Fleury, he isn't here to save you. Mark Stone was put on LTIR for reasons of cap circumvention, and their next move was to try and finagle more cap space. Evgeny Dadonov was supposed to trade clause in his contract. Anaheim was a team on that list. Legal wrangling continued on for days. Dadonov was adamant that the list was given to the Knights, but Vegas played dumb and tried to get it passed on a technicality. Regardless of which team was at fault, the NHL did not buy their excuse. The trade was voided. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for the awkward reunion with the guy they tried to trade with a draft pick just to get rid of. They needed that cap space too. Now the Knights are in a sharp skid and seemingly ripe for the carrion birds. All they've done is fuck over players, and now they're the ones getting fucked. Nobody in the hockey world feels sympathy for their plight. I believe we should support the real victim in this saga. Ryan Kessler's contract. I feel like Edmonton, LA, and Vancouver didn't do all that much to change what they were at the deadline. The Oilers still have goaltending issues, but are still trying in vain to solidify team depth. The next bodies to add on to the burning pile are 2018 trade deadline prize Derek Brassard and Brett Kulak, third pairing defensemen extraordinaire. They have been on a nice hot streak as of late, though. It's at least something. LA cannot say the same thing. They didn't do much of anything besides a few minor league trades. This is also considering that they're infected with the same thing Vegas had. Their lineup, particularly the defensive core, is getting picked off by injury one by one. Fortunately, the Kings are still doing well. I guess that's why they chose to stand pat. Vancouver is in a strange spot as well. They are still paying for the sins of their early struggles, and playoff models have no faith in their efforts, but they're still only a couple points out of a spot. Guys like JT Miller, Brock Besser, and Connor Garland were being thrown around in rumors, but none of them were moved. They simply brought in Travis Dermott from Toronto and traded Tyler Mott and Travis Hamonic. So no real damage done. Is it the right move? Maybe, but they're in a better spot than they were 4 months ago. Although that's not saying much. Taking up the caboose of the Western Conference, we have Anaheim, Arizona, Seattle, and San Diego. Maybe Anaheim doing well this season? Why are they on this list? That answer is quite simple. They're not only tumbling down the cliff, they're riding down the mine shaft of hell. It was a promising start, but this freefall shows us that the Ducks aren't ready for prime time just yet. However, they got solid returns for what they surrendered. Hampus Lindholm got a haul. But you just wonder what they could have gotten if they traded Josh Manson and Rickard Rakell a few years earlier. They'd have been salivating at the opportunity for it. Even then, what's done is done, and they did well, all things considered. San Jose? What can you say about them? They're a lost cause. They're trapped in a prison of their own doing. And while some players have revived themselves, it still isn't enough due to a combination of factors. Tomas Hertl was going to be a free agent, but with the windfall from Evander Kane's release, he received the time-honored tradition of Doug Wilson, an 8-year extension. The bells of long-term security ring out in joy, for Tomas is an excellent player worthy of it. In hindsight, Seattle was overhyped thanks to the massive success Vegas had and is experiencing typical expansion woes. Fortunately, they were able to sell off quite a few pieces and nab a decent number of future bits. Not to mention, Jared McCann's played well enough to be extended to a 5x5. I like him. Good work. They can sleep at night by saying, at least I'm not Arizona. Yes, they're still selling off whatever isn't.
Thousands of high-quality cars to choose from. Buy your next used car online at clutch.ca to get home delivery and a 10-day money-back guarantee.
Hello? Hi. Alright. Alright, every day. Yeah. Floors and counters. I sleeping mom. I do. I just have to do it every day. Like, yeah. Yeah. I do. No. Not right now, no. You're sick. that. I was looking for somebody, you know. I was looking for the App Store on their phone. No. I'll try to on my phone. Through the Apple's App Store. No, not the iPad, just the phone. They were all free. I was just trying to look for someone. Girlfriend, just to hang out, get out of the house. Yeah. Dad said there were money in that. I really don't know. I don't know. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, that's what Dad said too, actually, as well. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. 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 We are, we don't know what, they don't know what day. We are still pretty safe because staying like distancing still. Oh, we are about that, but we're still keeping it safe by eating our faces still. Like, yeah. Okay. Okay. Alright.
We on our way to the mine. I'm gonna fucking hate it. I can already tell because it's underground. And that shit sucks. What do you like the mine? That was your favorite part? This mine is amazing? Oh, okay, now I'm excited. Let's get that. Oh, what's happening here? Oh my god, it's a big ball. Four cross jump, let's go. I think, well, we can't really have that because of the weapon we have now. But best weapon art? 89. Are you friends with you don't really look very nice. Okay, never mind. Fuck you then. Oh. How dare you? We're in a whole camp. Is this where I'm supposed to go? Yeah. Oh, there's dynamite everywhere. That's the old camp. What'd you do that for? What is that? A Moonveil user? Yeah, it's a little OP, let's be honest. Until I find something that suits me. instead, but that's what it is for now. No, I haven't killed Radon. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna push north for a little bit. I want to raise my intelligence just a little more and then go back to Radon.
Starting to rain again. Again? Yep. So your counter station's so dirty.